Good afternoon to all of you on the East Coast, and a good morning to those on the West Coast in the Central Time Zone. We want to apologize. There were some technical difficulties which delayed our broadcast for about 2-3 minutes. We apologize and thank you for waiting. Today we have, I refer to her as an angel of God. We really have one of the very special people involved in the IDF who has a job that I would not wish on anyone, who has an impossible job. She's done it with such dignity, with such love and such passion over the last 16 years. Despite having a 20-some-year career in the IDF, the last 16 years, Michal has served as a casualty officer. Now, many of you have the image in your mind from the movie of Saving Private Ryan, that knock on the door. The knock on the door that will change the life irrevocably of the loved ones of the soldier. And the kind of stories and the kind of challenges that you'll hear from Michal, dealing with the families, being there for the families. What makes the Jewish Army so unique, what makes the IDF so unique, is that it's not just a knock on the door. From that moment on, for the rest of their lives until they die, the parents, the children, the widow, they will have a casualty officer. They will have one of these angels of God who will be with them, who will be reaching out to them, who will be with them at every stage of their life. And that's the role that Michal plays. And rather than hearing it from me, we want to have a conversation and learn from someone who's just had an impossible job dealing with over 500 families over the course of the last 4 months. Michal, thank you so much. I know it's nighttime in Israel, and after a full day, thank you for engaging us, for sharing with us, and for opening up to us.
So thank you for having me here with you all. I have to say that I was thinking in the last 10 minutes how to start this conversation, this meeting. And I think that the best way will be that I will ask you to describe an earthquake. How in a minute, when the earth is moving, everybody is looking for shelter, everybody's looking for something to hold on it, and everybody is feeling a kind of frightening that they never thought that they could feel before. And while you're imagining this, I want you to look at me, and now you understand how I woke up on the morning of the 7th of October, when everything I knew, everything I was used to was broken, was shaking. All of my life, I knew how to be a casualty officer. I've done it so many years. I've been in protective edge, and I've been in the Second Lebanon War, and still in the morning, in Shabbat morning, okay, in the 7th of October, for the first time in my life, I was afraid. I was afraid because it was something that I never met before. I don't think any of us met it before. And in a few hours, I realized that I have to start handling things that I never done before. The whole country was amazed. We were frightening. We didn't know what is going on. We were so confused of how to deal with all the news. And in a few hours, I had to wear back the uniform. I'm a reserved officer. And in a few hours, you have to snap out of it, and you need to start doing your role in the army, in the IDF. And you need to be there for the unit, and of course, for the families, for the commanders that are in a few hours are in Gaza, in the kibbutzim, in Be'eri, Nachal Oz, Kerem Shalom. And they know that you are there for doing your part, and then they can fight knowing that somebody will take care of the bereaved family and of course the wounded soldiers. So this is how we are starting this war. A lot of unknown, a lot of adjust that you have to do in few first day to be able to do it for the long run. As you can see, I'm still in reserve. And it's quite hard, and you have to do your job as the best you can do it because of the sensitivity of the bereaved family. And
Michal, in order to paint a picture for our listeners and our participants, give us 3 or 4 situations that you've dealt with. And I think that really will paint the picture and give people an understanding of what they face, of what you face, of the horrific journey ahead for the rest of their lives.
So imagine yourself, I don't know if you know, but we saw on TV footage of the terrorists online. They footage what they done to the soldier, and they put it online. And we actually saw a lot of the things that happened while they're happening. So imagine yourself a mom, he's watching TV like most of us, and seeing her own child being kidnapped, seeing her own child being shot, and she's at home, it's Shabbat morning, and she actually doesn't know what to do because she's seeing the footage as all of us. And the first thing she's thinking about is she's getting inside her car and she's driving to the nearest base that she can find where she lives. It doesn't even need to be the base where her son or daughter is. It's just a military base. And she's standing in front of the guard in the front of the base, and she's shouting, "This is what's happening to my son right now. I need your help." Nobody's. I really hope you can imagine a mom that is shouting her heart out and crying that she's seeing the footage of her son being kidnapped, and she doesn't know what to do. She doesn't know who can help her. And she wants answer. She wants now someone from the IDF will come to her and will explain what happened. And as you all imagine, in the first few hours and even in the first few days, it was a chaos to all of us. None of us had answer in the first few hours and even in the first week. And it was so hard to reach this mom and to try to give her a hug, even though she didn't want us. She didn't need us to hug her. She needed us to give her answer that we didn't have at this time. She didn't know what to do, and we tried to do our best, which is very little, to let her feel that she's not alone, to let her know that even though I don't have the answer right now, but I'm standing next to her. She's not standing by herself in the front of the base. I'm standing next to her, even though I have no answer, but I'm not leaving her alone. And I can tell you that it took us almost 4 days to reach at the woman's house and to go there and to give her the horrible notification that what she saw from the terrorists is the truth, and her son really was kidnapped. And it was very hard to reach her, and it was very hard to speak with her later, because in the first few hours when she really needed those answers, we weren't able to give it to her. So this is like one example of thing that we had to deal with in the first few days. And I can tell you another story. A lot of the families knew that their son was injured because they spoke with them on the phone. They spoke with them while the missile attack happened. And a few of them even heard that they were injuring. So there were families who were getting inside their car and trying to go to all the hospitals in Israel, into Barzilai, which is near Ashkelon, and to Be'er Sheva, and to all the hospital. Think that you are living up in the north and starting to drive while the missile attack is happening, and you are reaching the hospital. There are hundreds, if not even more, wounded soldiers that are going inside the hospital. And I know families that actually went from one casualty to the other, from one wounded soldier to another, opened the curtain, opened the whatever was covering them, and just looking for the face they know, the face of their son or daughter. They wouldn't stay at home to wait for the notification officer to knock on the door and to give them the horrible news. They were active. They wanted to find their son, and they actually went for hours from hospital to hospital to try to find them. And after 2 days of looking for them, they understood that they should go back home, because if they couldn't find them on those first 2 days in the hospital, they're probably dead. And while they are waiting at home, in a few more hours, probably the notification officer will come and will knock on the door and give them the horrible news. So this is like two of
the story the story you shared with us about the soldier who was left alone, you know, and then his father at the funeral. You could share that.
Yeah, we had a soldier. It's quite a unique story. His mom died out of cancer when he was very young, and his older brother died, unfortunately, 3 years ago in a car accident. And I don't know if you know, but in Israel, when you are already a bereaved family and you want to go to be a fighter in the IDF, one of the parents have to sign that he is agreeing that you will be a fighter, because the army knows that you already lost someone inside your family, and they want to make sure that the parent is okay with you becoming a fighter. And this boy, his father...
For those of you who are familiar with the term combat soldier, so in Hebrew, lochem is a fighter, but I guess in English we call it a combat soldier.
Okay. So if this soldier really wanted to be a combat soldier, it was his dream. He was training to it in this last year in high school, becoming very strong in his body to be able to do all the training. It's like 6 months training in the army for just the starting of being a combat soldier. And after a lot of conversation in the house, his father was agreeing to it, and he signed it, and he really became a fighter in an elite unit in the army. And he was in the base very close to the Gaza border, like 5 kilometers from the border. And while the missile attack happened, the other soldier from his unit went out with the armed vehicle to see what is going on. There was a lot of rumors that there's terrorists are coming inside from Gaza, and he was left in the base to be in the base to make sure that everything is okay. And after a few hours, the terrorists arrived to the base and killed him. And he spoke with his family on the phone and telling them, look, I can hear the terrorists inside the base. They're speaking Arab. I'm afraid. I feel like I'm going to die. And the last few sentences were actually that someone is shooting me, someone is shooting at me. And this is what happened. We found later his phone near the place that he was killed. And when we gave to the family his phone back, you can see the bullet inside the phone going from one side to the other. And you can imagine how hard it is for this father to get the phone for me and to look at it and to understand what he's seeing, like how the bullet really entered and went from the other side. It was very hard. The IDF is allowing the family to, if it's possible, of course, to come and see where their son or daughter died, if it's in a base. And we went there with the family, and it was quite hard for all of them, and even for me, to reach there and to understand what he's been through in those few minutes. Unfortunately, the terrorists photo it. So we found on Telegram, on the media, we found the release of the footage, and they are very hard to see. So can you even imagine for a few minutes what it is for the father who signed and let his son to be a fighter, which was his dream, to look at this footage where a terrorist is murdering his son. It's something that nobody can even understand, and nobody can even imagine how hard it is. And in the funeral, which was very hard to all of us, mostly for the family, the father really wanted to see for the last time his son, to look at him, to look at his face, to look at him. And he actually wanted to take off the tachrichim, as we say, and to see him.
No shrouds that the body is wrapped in.
Yeah. I don't know if you know, but in Israel, in the IDF, all the soldiers are buried in a coffin, of course. So it was very hard. He actually threw it and was looking at him, and only after he felt, after a few minutes, that now he can say goodbye and now he can allow the funeral to go on. We started the funeral. They're an amazing family, very strong. Every time I'm coming and meeting them and sitting with them and speaking with them, I'm feeling like they are helping me more than I'm helping them to deal with this amazing story. But it's only one example of what you can understand that so many families in Israel are going through. I can tell you that the notification officer are a team of three officers. They are the one who knock on the door. And as you may understand, there is a lot of people with the soldiers with the same last name. So when you are reaching a tall building and you are seeing on the post downstairs that there is two families with the same last name, how can you know that you are knocking on the same door, two families with Cohen or Levi? And in Israel, we have a lot of it. So you really need to know on which door you are knocking. And one of the three officers are usually wearing civilian clothes, and he will try to find any information about who is living where. And sometimes you are putting your ear to the door and you are hearing in the other side a happy family, a family that are watching TV, children that are singing maybe. Sometimes it's happened on Shishi evening while everybody is at dinner, and you are waiting in front of this door, and you're understanding that the minute you will knock, you are stopping everything. Their life will never be the same. And for a few minutes, you want to give them another few minutes of joy and happiness, and another few minutes of being all together as a family, as a whole family. And it's quite hard. It's an amazing role in the IDF to be a notification officer. It's something that you need to have a lot of strength, and you have to really believe of what you are doing to be able to knock on the door, to put your foot in front of the door, because every parent in Israel, the minute they will see you, the first thing they do, they shut the door very hard on you, because we know when three officers is standing in the other side, and you have to be able to really put your foot in front of the door so they won't close it in front of you. You have to be able to go inside the house and very gently give the notification. I can tell you that they are reading from a paper, because it's so hard and it's so full of emotion. So it's easier when you are reading, hello, your son or daughter, they're saying their name, was killed in, and they are saying where he was killed. And they are staying inside the house for the whole 7 days until the end of the Shiv'ah. And they will be the representative of the IDF in those horrible days that the family need to be able to cope with the change, cope with the understanding that if you can say it, that somebody can understand something so hard, that their son or daughter were killed and will never come back home. So
Michal, could you share with us that in a case where you have a soldier who is a husband and father on one hand and a son on the other, how you go about the notification?
So it's very important to us to give the notification to the whole family in the same time. It's important that the parents and the wife, the widow, will know together. And it's important for us that if he has another siblings that are now in the army, someone will reach him and tell him also. And the main idea is to give notification to everybody on the same time when the parents and the widow, the wife, for now, is the most important thing. There will be two teams that will reach to each one of them where they're living, even if one living in the north and one is living in the south. They will try to reach the same door at the same time and to be able to knock together each team on the place they were sent to, because we know now that it's very important to be able to give the notification to both sides on the same time. We know how hard it is to be a parent who their son was killed, and we know how hard it is for the wife that her loved husband was killed. And it's so important to do it in the same time. And I can share with you a story that I just today heard about parents that had 3 children in the army on the same time now in Gaza in 3 different roles. There were 2 of them were reserved, as I am. One of them was in his mandatory draft. And I don't think that you can even imagine the parents hearing the knock, opening the door, and the first thing that they are thinking about is which one? Which name are they going to hear? Which name are they going to hear that was killed in Gaza? And it was very hard. For them, it was very long. They feel like it wasn't a few minutes or a few seconds even until the notification officer shared the name. If you will speak with her, with the mom, she's an amazing woman. For her, it was like lifetime took until she understand which one of them was the one that was killed. And I can share with you that his sister was a fighter, was a reserved fighter, and she's the older in the family. And through the whole time she was in Gaza, she was with the radio, the army radio, and she always spoke with her parents. She said, if something will happen to the 2 boys, to the 2 brothers, I will be the first one to know because I'm with the army radio. And this was something that for the mom was, it made her not comfortable, but she knew that the person that will give her the notification, the horrible news, will be the daughter. And unfortunately, she wasn't with the radio when he was killed, so she didn't hear his name while they were saying it. And when her commander pulled her out to tell her the horrible information, I have no idea, she was saying, but it can't be, because I promised my mom that since I'm with the radio, I will be the one that will tell her. So I didn't keep my promise to my mom. How can I look at her? How can I look at her eyes now? So we have so many of unique and hard story that we are hearing every day, that sometimes I feel like the heart cannot even, it's so broken already. So I don't know if it can become more and more broken. But this is how we feel like every day. Every morning we wake up with the feeling that today will be stronger, today will be better, today will not have it says the Israeli spokesmen are allowed to say that, and then they are saying the name of another soldier who died. And it's quite hard. It's quite hard.
Michal, you had mentioned that you try your best not to notify someone at work. If it means that you wait a few hours extra, you shared with us that you don't want to notify someone when they're having a birthday party for the child. If it means we have to wait a few hours extra, let them, do you want to try to break it to them when they're at home? Could you elaborate about that?
So you have to understand that we are in a run against social media and against rumors, because when there is a horrible, like just 2 weeks ago, 21 soldiers died in a collapsed building. The IDF want to be able to be the one who give the notification to the family, and that they won't hear it by the news or by WhatsApp or rumors or by even something that is not like the best friend of their son will be the one who give them the call and say, I don't know if you know, but just now a building had collapsed inside Gaza and your son is inside. So in one hand, we are really on a race against rumors and media and all the good people, as we say, who really want to speak about what happened, and the rumors are horrible. They really are. So this is in one hand. And in the other hand, we know that in the minute we are saying it and we are giving the notification to the family, as I said earlier, their life is changing and they will never be the same. So imagine if we realize that the parents, one of them is a teacher in high school, and it's now 9 o'clock in the morning, and you need to reach out to her to give her the notification. But you also understand that if 3 officers will enter high school, okay, all the teacher in this high school and manager and everybody who work in this high school and have kids in the army, the second they will see those 3 officers inside the school, they will know that someone was killed, and panic will start all over. So the idea is to try not to do this panic and not to do this thing that every teacher in the school will see those 3 officers. So we are trying through the manager to make him maybe call this mom to his office, saying that he need to say something to her. He need to give her some briefing or something like this. He won't say that it's from the army. He will just call her to his own office, and then the notification officer will be there and they will give her the information and drive with her back home. We had a few families that one of the parents were at home and the other was at work. And the officers are asking, do you want us to go to where they work, or do you want to call them to come home with any reason that you can think of, and then to give them. We are allowing the family to be able to control of how the other siblings or the other people in the family will get the notification. And I can even tell you that on the 7th of October, we had family who were in vacation. It was the end of Simchat Torah. A lot of people in Israel were in a holiday abroad, and you need to find people that are in vacation all over the world and to give them the notification. And for that, we have the army attaché in every major city or country. And the IDF reached those attaché and giving them the information about where the family stay, if it's in a hotel or if it's in a hosting family. And he's the one who will reach out to them and give them the information and give them the horrible news. And with the IDF, we will do the best that we can do to bring them back home as fast as we can do it. And sometimes it takes time, and sometimes you need to bring parents that are 12 hours away from here in the state, not close in Europe. And just imagine what it is for 2 parents to sit in an airplane flying a 12-hour home who are just want to come back home and to be with their families, to be with the other siblings, and to be able to understand how the world ended in the way they knew it, and now they are starting to learn how to walk again, how to sleep again, how to wake up in the morning and to go to work, how to wake up in the morning and to remember that there are other people in the house, siblings that you need to take care of them. And we are there next to them, trying to do the best we can. The main role of the casualty officer is to try to help the family to cope with this, to be able to be there for them throughout the years. Even if I will finish my role in a few years, there will be another casualty officer that will be after me. And this is the I always say that the army and the IDF and the Israeli society has it's a chain. It's a chain, and we are a part of the link between the Israeli society and the army, and we are making sure that no family will left behind. The unit will always be with them in a connection. The unit will always be there for them, and the casualty officer will always be in the first call they will need. I will be the one who answer them. It doesn't even matter in what they need. They need something for the family, I'm there. They need something from the unit, I'm there. They need something from even the government, I will be the one who will help them deal with every situation, every new situation that the loss of their son or daughter made them deal with.
What Michal is saying, and I want to speak to many of the Americans who are participating in this call with Michal. Someone who's not gone through the military or been part of the military doesn't always appreciate the ultimate band of brothers, the ultimate brothers for life, the ultimate fraternity is the experience that if one of the brothers goes down, is lost at war, the other brothers and sisters are there for them. They'll never be forgotten. The family of that brother will always be part of the family of the unit, and there'll be this eternal bond. And that's something that you don't have in civilian life, that is special and unique, that you have in the IDF and that you have to a great degree in the Marines and many parts of the American military. And that Michal's referring to. And then, of course, is Michal and her fellow members of the casualty department who will be there, become part of the family, have constant contact and relationship, always reaching out, bringing opportunities to the younger siblings. I'll give you an example. We're going to be hosting hundreds of children this summer in America at Jewish summer camps throughout the length and breadth of America that we're funding at FIDF. And we're actually looking for support for that program. But that's the idea, to give these kids a chance to get away, to get into a different environment, to let it out with therapists. In fact, many times Michal has accompanied them to America, these siblings, younger siblings of bereaved soldiers. Michal, are there any other aspects you'd like to share with us, whether it's the family dynamic, the relationship throughout the years, working with younger siblings, working with parents? Please feel free to share with us anything that could give us an insight into what happens in Israel and what you have to deal with.
So I will just say another sentence about legacy that you mentioned. 8 years ago, I was the head of the delegation of legacy in the army.
Legacy is an FIDF program where the Ministry of Defense asks us to bring the younger siblings of fallen soldiers.
Yeah. And I met a few of the donors in one of the evening we had on camp, and they asked me what is so unique, this group from the other group. And I told them, this is the only place that they can share what they are feeling. A lot of times at home, the siblings wouldn't share how they feel because they don't want to upset the parents. They don't want to make them cry. They don't want to share how hard it is for them because they are seeing how hard it is for the parents. And when this group is gathering together, they are all the same. They can speak with one each other and say, do you also sometimes dream of your brother? Do you also at his birthday want to speak with him, want to go and be there in the cemetery? Do you also want sometimes that your parents will remember that you are also at home and you are alive and you need attention? And it's amazing to hear, to just sit in the corner of the room when these siblings are together and just to hear the conversation between themselves about what they are feeling and how they are coping with the understanding that the older brother died and not at home now, but they are still at home and they are still need attention and they are still need someone to take care of them. So the unique of this group is that we as a organization are allowing them to be together and to speak out loud how they are feeling. And it's so important. This is why I had to give this remark, since I was the head of one of those delegations. And about siblings, I can say that now those who are in the age of becoming a soldier, who are almost 18 and really want to become combat soldier, really want to serve in the unit of their brothers or sister, it's a very hard situation for most parents. It's very fresh. It's also only 3 months since they buried their older son, and now another son wants to become a fighter and want to be in his brother unit, or maybe even if it's in his father unit. We have a lot of people, officer who was killed and were parents because they are reserved. Most of the reserve are like me. They are married, they have kids, they are in their 40s. And we have a lot of children that now need to be drafted to the army. And we are dealing as a casualty officer with a lot of dilemmas. In which side are we? In the side of the young son or young boy that lost his dad and really want him to be proud of him by going to be a combat fighter like he was, or to be on the side of the parents or the side of the mom who can't even imagine to sign and to let him be a fighter, since she doesn't even know right now what tomorrow is going to be, how she's going to wake up in the morning, get dressed, make sure that the kids are ready to school. And so how can she let another person from the family to become a combat? And it's very hard because there's not one answer. And every family is so unique and so different from the other. And we really try to be able to, when we enter the house, we really try to be adjust ourselves to the same family as much as possible, of course, and to give the right answer for this family, which is probably won't be the right answer for the other family. But I can tell you that we are trying to do our best, knowing that everything is very, very, very fresh. Sometimes I'm still remember, I'm like flashback, one of the days that in the first week of the war, I was in 5 or 4 funeral. I was like driving from one to another. And I think that it was like 7 o'clock in the evening, and I went inside my car, and I was with a driver who helped me, and he asked me where to drive to. And for a minute, I didn't even know which cemetery I'm going to. It was so hard, so hectic, so many people, hundreds of people came for every funeral. People who didn't know the soldier, I have to say. the civilian people, the population in Israel wanted to be a part of it. It was so hard to all of us to see in the news so many names, those who died in the army, those who died in Sderot and in the kibbutzim, those who died in the party that was in Nova, and it was huge. You couldn't close your eyes for 1 second and not hearing another name and another name. So a lot of the civilian wanted to be a part of it. So they came for funerals, the army in the army cemeteries, for people that they didn't knew before they died. They came to the Shiva. We had Shiva with thousands of people who never knew the family before, who just wanted to say, I'm sorry for your loss, and I'm here, whatever you need for me. And you and I are part of the same Israeli civilian group. We are living in the same town. Our son may have even learned in the same school. So everybody wanted to pay their don, to be sympathies with what happened to those families. And I can tell you that the first few weeks was something that I never thought that I will have to go through. And even now, when it's become different, and the soldiers who were killed after the 7th of October were killed during fighting. And even now it's hard. Every morning you wake up, you're opening the news, you see another name, another 2 names. And now we even realize that we know the names. I know that me and a few of my friends, a casualty officer, knows a few of those who died. And it's very hard that you know someone before, and you know who he was, and you know his family and his wife and kids, and now you are entering their house, and you, from all the people who are inside the house, know how hard it's going to be for them, and how hard this pattern that they are going to walk on is going to be very hard. And you are trying to do, I'm trying, and I know that all of my friends that are doing the same job are trying to do our best to help as much as possible.
Michal, thank you, for sharing, for opening up us and giving us just a brief insight into the very challenging world, the very difficult world that you're working in, that you live in. But if it were not for you and for your team and others like you, the world would be so much more difficult. The ability for families to rebuild, the ability for families to get aid, to get support, therapy, other forms of support. If it weren't for you and your team, it would be that much more difficult. And we're indebted to you. The world is indebted to you for what you're doing for those who made the ultimate sacrifice. And we're very appreciative just of how real, how open you were with us, and giving us just a small glimpse of what you're dealing with, and particularly what the nation is dealing with. I just know on a personal level, my daughter's roommate and good friend who was murdered, Rose Lupin, the whole nation came to her funeral. They had to set up a tent for the Shiva. People who didn't know her came from literally from every corner of Israel to spend time to be there for the family. And the family till this day, who lives in Dunwoody, Georgia, is receiving, from all over the world, from all over Israel, is receiving, people reaching out. And that's something that is incredibly beautiful about Israel. It's incredibly beautiful about the Israeli people, the Jewish people. The challenge, of course, is that after the Shiva, after the Shloshim, after 2 months, after 4 months, after 6 months, everyone else forgets and goes back to their life. And unfortunately, the family members are left, as you said, having to wake up in the morning and having the strength just to get out of bed or to put on clothes or to go to work or to go to school. And that's the role that you play, being there for them when everyone else goes back to life. And we thank you. We thank you very much.
Thank you for having me and for listening to my story and the story of all my friends who are doing hard job, but we know why we are doing it. And the main thing is the families of the fallen, the family of the injured soldier, and the strength of the Israeli society and the country, and try to do our best for everybody.
If anyone
So
support the legacy program that Michal spoke about and that we speak about, we'll be bringing in hundreds of orphan children, hundreds of younger siblings of bereaved families who've lost an older sister, an older brother. And we'll be having them, first of all, participate in camps in Ohio, in Maryland, throughout the country, and then spending weeks with communities. They'll be taken to amusement parks. They'll be spending a Shabbat, having a Shabbaton in the community. They'll be going to special places. They'll be housed by supporters of Friends of the IDF. It's a very expensive program, but it's a program that we will not say no to. Whatever it costs, we'll do, because these young men and young women, they've made the ultimate sacrifice. Their world was turned upside down. Please go to FIDF.org, FIDF.org. You can either address it or send it to the emergency campaign or to a special campaign known as Legacy. We call them the Legacy camps that we have for these special young men and young women. Michal, thank you.
Good evening from Israel.
Thank you. Wishing everyone a meaningful week. We'll be back on Wednesday.